Alright, bros, we are going to get into Kitty Clarissa here. Actually, only got one skill buffed, but makes a huge difference. So what's changing is, for 3, I'm so cute. Meow. So, essentially it's going to do exactly the same thing. Decrease debuff duration on all allies by 2 turns, so an effective dizzy counter in PvP. And grants the caster immunity and loveliness for 3 turns. Loveliness does a couple things we'll get into, but also is going to grant an extra turn once she is buffed, so you are immediately going to go into, if you want to use her too, so that she attacks all enemies and decreased buff duration by 2 turns, make them unhealable. When she has loveliness, effect chance increases by 20%, so that's pretty awesome there. Or you can use her 1, which basically deals damage proportional to caster's max health. And when the caster is granted loveliness, always triggers a dual attack from the ally with the highest attack. That's some pretty serious stuff there, and some pretty serious choices to make. And then also, if you didn't notice, her aura imprint here affects dual attack chance, so... there's a couple different builds you could go with her. In general, though, as you see here, this kind of scales with... Actually, not this. This scales with her max life, her 1. But you don't necessarily have to focus on that outside of maybe in PvE, but definitely not in a PvP environment. Now, this will be good. Her 2 actually is good in PvP, just because you can get rid of any pesky buffs, as well as put up unhealable, which is very good against people like Angelica, anyone that has AoE healing. And so generally what you're going to want to build her with, you got to have her survive a little bit. If you're going to run her in PvP, the problem is you need her to be fast enough to get this off. Otherwise, you know, it doesn't matter because she'll be stunned or silenced or what have you with all the new meta coming in for anti-AoE. So you're going to have to be careful with her because she is still squishy. But in general, you're going to want to run her in PvP with speed, as well as some type of mitigation survivability. So whether it's going to be health, maybe you need immunity to make sure you can cast your immunity, depending on what you got going on your team, if she's not going to be your fastest unit. In general, actually, I would actually recommend immunity, as weird as that is to say, because you don't want her to be your fastest unit. Because you want her to go, say, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever it's going to be, against certain teams, so that you can cast her 3, get immunity back on her, and then cast her 2 in most cases to decrease the buff duration from someone like a Rose or whatever buffs are going on the enemy team, so that you can get them off, and you don't have to worry about them. And then hopefully get that unhealable up. Now, real quick, we'll get into artifacts. Artifacts on her are kind of weird because she's a warrior. But in general, I would recommend Durandil, just to increase her combat readiness whenever she takes damage and her health is less than 75%, which is probably going to happen in AoE. Otherwise, Hell's Fist. You know, mostly for the speed, not for her attack, mostly for the speed. Just to get her turns going faster. They kind of serve the same purpose. Everything else, you don't really need Strack because effect resistance, where you got immunity in most cases. So, get back to her now. Now, if you're going to run her PvE, once again, you're probably going to want to get loveliness up ASAP, but you don't necessarily have to run her speed, even though it doesn't hurt. You could do speed, like, instead of immunity, you could do speed life at that point. And that would make more sense, because yes, in AoE packs, you're probably going to do this if there is either a heal or a buff that you need to deal with. Otherwise, like for me, I'm actually thinking of running her for Abyss Floor 90, because I can cast this, she'll be fine with immunity, and she'll cast Loveliness, so then she'll trigger 3 dual attacks in a row, 1 immediately from the ally with the highest attack. So if you want like a single target damage dealing focuser, get this unit. She'll be freaking good to go, man. She'll be freaking good to go. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. And then you can do this if you need to put these debuffs up for whatever reason, but otherwise just hit the 1. Now if you have someone like, say, an Arbiter Vildred, a regular Vildred, a Dizzy, and they happen to be your highest attack, hey, you're triggering AoE skills if you want, or multi-target skills. Otherwise, if you got like a really solid hitter, like say a Luna or a Soul, something like that, Bellona, you could trigger Bellona's AoEs faster this way. This unit's going to be a really good support unit in PvE as well. Now, PvP, she has a little bit more niche, even though I started with the PvP build. Once again, her 1 is going to be mostly for triggering the dual attacks. So in that case, you're going to need someone like an Arbiter Vildred or someone that does AoE damage to follow up and hopefully secure a kill if you didn't get it for whatever reason on your first turn. Now, as far as what to cast, or excuse me, what to upgrade rather, to be perfectly honest, it's probably going to be her 2 because you need this effect chance to be as high as possible to decrease buff duration and unhealable. That is going to be a lot more meta now because there are a lot of units getting buffs for buffs to do more buffs, as well as, well, there's always the healing meta. It's already there, essentially. But immunity, so you don't have to worry about her. Then at that point, you just got to worry about her survivability. And then you can trigger dual attacks from whoever's going to be your highest attack, such as Bloodblade, Karen, Vildred, yada yada. So, and that is going to be it, guys. So hopefully this helps you out here with Kitty Clarissa. And we'll see you guys during the next video. Peace out.